Good evening. A second impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte will be filed before the House of Representatives on Wednesday, December 4, according to the progressive group Bagong Alyansang Makabayan or Bayan. In a media advisory on Tuesday, December 3, Bayan Group states that an impeachment complaint against Duterte will be filed by 50 representatives of various organizations and concerned citizens before the Office of House Secretary General Reginald Velasco. Bayan adds that the impeachment complaint to be filed against Duterte is over allegations of corruption and misuse of confidential funds during her stint as the Secretary of the Department of Education. The progressive group further says that a protest action by their group will be simultaneously held at the Batasan Road to demand accountability and express public outrage over the multi-million peso confidential fund scandal. This impeachment complaint, if filed, will be the second after different civil society groups' representatives flocked to the House to file the first ever impeachment complaint against Duterte last Monday, December 2. The first complaint was endorsed by Akbayan Party List Representative Percival Sendanya. According to former Senator Laila de Lima, who accompanied the complainants, among the articles of impeachment cited were Duterte's alleged confidential fund misuse, threats to ranking government officials, and her supposed involvement in extrajudicial killings when she was Davao City Mayor. The Armed Forces of the Philippines says they have not received any confirmation nor any information on the alleged threat against Vice President Sara Duterte, who earlier revealed that she tasked someone to kill President Bongbong Marcos and two of his family members should she be assassinated. In a briefing on Tuesday, December 3, AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla assures that the military will protect Duterte with all its troops and assets. Padilla adds that the AFP has no confirmation yet on the alleged threats against the Vice President and that they have specialized units to verify the statements made by Duterte. On the other hand, AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Colonel Cerces Trinidad says the AFP will wait for the result of other agencies' ongoing investigation regarding Duterte's kill threat. In an online press conference last November 23, Duterte revealed that the alleged threat against her life, saying that she asked someone to kill Marcos, his wife, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez in case she ended up dead. Meanwhile, on Monday, December 2, civil society organizations filed the first impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte before the House of Representatives Office of the Secretary General. The 50-page impeachment complaint crafted was by religious leaders, sectoral representatives, and families of drug war victims and was endorsed by Akbayan Party List Representative Percival Sendanya. Aside from this, Duterte, along with the head of her security group, Colonel Raymond Lachica, is currently facing direct assault, disobedience to the persons in authority, and grave coercion complaints before the Department of Justice. This development came after Quezon City Police District Medical and Dental Unit Chief Lieutenant Colonel Jason Villamor filed a complaint against Duterte and Lachica for an incident during transfer of office of the Vice President's Chief of Staff, Zulaika Lopez, from the Veterans Memorial Medical Center to the St. Luke's Medical Center in Quezon City. Tingog Party List Representative June Asidre says Vice President Sara Duterte is in no position to say that the impeachment proceedings against her will just be a waste of public funds, as he reminds the second highest elected official that it was not lawmakers who spent 125 million pesos in just 9 days. In a briefing on Tuesday, December 3, Asidre and Bataan 1st District Representative Geraldine Roman were asked about Duterte's recent statements against possible impeachment proceedings against her, that her critics in the House will just waste funds and that this is just a cover-up for the administration's shortcomings. Asidre responds,
kung magwawaldas lang dan, di ba? Hindi siguro ang Vice Presidente ang tamang tao para mag-correct ng pagwawaldas. Hindi ko kami ang nakaubos ng 125 million in 8 days or 9 days. But that being the case, no? I don't think that procedures such as the impeachment are actually pagwawaldas in a sense. Ito po'y mekanismo na nasa saligang batas.
The 125 million pesos that Asidre was referring to is the confidential funds transferred to Duterte's office of the Vice President last December 2022. Initially, Duterte's critics like ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro claimed that Duterte spent the entire 125 million pesos in 19 days. However, the Commission on Audit admitted last September 2023 through budget sponsor and Marikina's 2nd District Representative Stella Kimbo that the confidential fund was spent in just 11 days. Because of this, the confidential fund allocation and spending of Duterte's offices were scrutinized, as several lawmakers pointed out that the office of the Vice President should not have gotten any confidential fund, as these items were not present in the original budget crafted during the term of former Vice President Leni Robredo. Last November 27, Duterte said that impeachment would just lead to the government wasting funds just to divert attention from the administration's supposedly unfulfilled promises. Meanwhile, Roman says that it would be better if the Vice President would just let the House do its work.
So, nangyari na po itong impeachment processes even in the past. Kay Justice Corona, I remember kay President Erap, no? Tapos si Justice Davide, maraming pangyayari. Are we to say na pagwawaldas din yun ng pera ng taong bayan? So, just let us do our work and we will see. No, that let the truth prevail.
On Monday, December 2, civil society groups' representatives flocked to the House to file an impeachment complaint against Duterte. The Philippine Statistics Authority says the name Mary Grace Piattos, a name used to sign acknowledgement receipts of the Office of the Vice President's confidential funds, has no record in their civil registry system database. On Tuesday, December 3, the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability releases the PSA certification. Based on the certification issued on November 25, 2024, PSA attested that a certain Mary Grace Piattos has a negative record of birth, marriage, and death in their PSA Civil Registry System database. The PSA also says it could conduct a deeper search on the name and ascertain whether a civil registry document is available in the database if more information, such as the name of her parents, among others, can be provided. The name Mary Grace Piattos surfaced during the investigation of the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability on the alleged misuse of public money, specifically the confidential funds, with the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education under the leadership of Vice President Sara Duterte. Mary Grace Piattos was supposedly the person who signed acknowledgement receipts of money from the Office of the Vice President's confidential fund. The acknowledgement receipts were part of the liquidation report submitted to the House panel as it tackled the 158 receipts that covered the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President, amounting to 23.8 million pesos. It was Antipolo's 2nd District Representative Romeo Acop who pointed out to the Commission on Audit that several acknowledgement receipts were signed by a certain Mary Grace Piattos. During the panel's November 5 hearing, Acop expressed doubts about whether she is a legitimate identity, as the signatory's first name is similar to a popular coffee shop and restaurant, while her last name is the same with a famous potato chip brand. The Armed Forces of the Philippines says the Russian-attacked submarine, which surfaced in the West Philippine Sea last week, did not conduct any nefarious activities in the region. In a briefing on Tuesday, December 3, Philippine Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, says the Russian submarine was first detected 80 nautical miles off Lubang Island stationary. Trinidad adds that the submarine was unlikely conducting any nefarious activities after they noticed that it was traveling at a slow speed from 3 to 6 knots all the way up north after a few hours from the time it was spotted. Earlier, AFP said the submarine was reportedly awaiting improved weather conditions in the West Philippine Sea before heading to Vladivostok, Russia. In a statement on Monday, December 2, the agency said that upon receiving the report of the presence of the submarine, the Philippine Navy immediately deployed assets to monitor and address the situation, ensuring the security of Philippine waters. The AFP added that one of the Navy's deployed assets, BRP Jose Rizal, established radio communications with the submarine, which confirmed its identity, crew complement, and navigational intent. Reports revealed that the submarine came from Malaysia and did not submerge as it moved slowly northward, remaining outside the country's territorial waters until the weekend. Upon hearing this, the National Security Council downplayed the sighting last week of a Russian-attacked submarine in Philippine waters, even as President Bongbong Marcos called this development very worrisome. The Department of Justice says former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque submitted his counter-affidavit from Abu Dhabi on the qualified human trafficking complaints filed against him. In an interview on Tuesday, December 3, Prosecutor General Richard Anthony Fadulyon says Roque subscribed to his documents dated November 29 in Abu Dhabi.
According to the panel, a counter-affidavit was submitted by the lawyers of Mary Grace, where it would appear that he had a document which was notarized pero dun siya sa Abu Dhabi. Okay, so the panel opted to give the respondent a chance. They called for a clarificatory hearing which will be scheduled anytime between now and the 16th of December. Purpose is to clarify certain issues and to find out really where Mr. Roque is at this point in time.
When asked why a clarificatory hearing is still necessary, Fadulyon says that under the DOJ's rules, the prosecutor must determine the counter-affidavit's validity. Meanwhile, in a press conference on the same day, Roque confirms his submission of the counter-affidavit, which he took oath before the Philippine Consulate Embassy in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. Roque adds that his complainants must prove that there was indeed a human trafficking that occurred before they can file the syndicated human trafficking case against him.
Para po masampahan ako ng kaso for syndicated human trafficking, kinakailangan mapruebahan ng mga nagrereklamo na mayroon trafficking na posibleng nangyari at ako nga ang posibleng responsable dyan. No? Ang elemento ng trafficking ay yung akto na pagre-recruit, yung pamamaraan sa pamamagitan ng pananakot o panloloko.
Roque clarifies that he is no longer in Abu Dhabi but is still outside the Philippines. The human trafficking complaint stemmed from Roque's alleged active participation in the operations of the raided Lucky South 99 in Porac, Pampanga. In his 22-page counter-affidavit, Roque moved to dismiss the complaints, tagging it as mere political harassment and claiming that there is no evidence to support them. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.